In the name of Almighty God, the most compassionate and the most merciful, I welcome you all to your own channel. My name is Nasir Ibadi. Today we will start and introduce the polynomial. It's a very basic section of the algebra, but we will have a very beautiful, we will have the most beautiful examples in our lecture. Today I want to just introduce the polynomial, and for the next lecture we will come inshallah maybe for 2, 3 or 4 consequent lectures and examples of the polynomial. By the way, please find a very silent place and just listen what I give the lecture. Whenever you're talking about polynomial, what is polynomial? Polynomial is an expression which expression it should be like px an x to the power n plus an minus 1 x to the power n minus 1 an minus 2 x to the power n minus 2 up to a0. An expression which you can define like this one, it is called a polynomial. Or in some books it's written that it is a type of what? Type of a function in which the degree includes natural number. Includes natural number. For example, px, you can define by px, gx, fx, tx, whatever, hx, doesn't mind. 2x to the power 3 plus 5x to the power 2 minus 3x plus 5. Then this one is a polynomial. Why? Because the degree includes the natural number. And here, if I say, what is a3? A3 means the coefficient of the x which it has the power of 3. Then the coefficient of the x to the power 3 it's 2. Then we can say a3 is 2. If I say where is a1, what does it mean? A1 is the coefficient of the x which its power is 1. Its power is 1 in here, so we can say a1 is minus 3. If I say where is a5, what does it mean? It means the coefficient of the x which its degree defined 5. In here we don't have any degree of 5, but I can write, for example, 0x to the power 5. It means a5 is 0. But if I ask you where is a0, a0 means constant numbers. Constant number is 5. So we can say a0 is 5. In a polynomial, you have to note that one thing, that's leading power. What is leading power? Leading power of a polynomial is that coefficient which its degree is the most one. In here, the most degree which we can define, it's 3. So we can say the leading coefficient. What's leading coefficient? Leading coefficient is that coefficient that with the most power. With the most power, we have x to the power 3. This is the most power. Then the coefficient is 2. So we can say leading coefficient is 2. What are the coefficients? Coefficients. Coefficients, one is 2, the next one is 5, 2, 5, the next one is minus 3, and the next one is 5. These are the coefficients that we can talk about. Also, we can say what is constant number. Constant number is 5. Constant number is 5. This is also coefficient, and this is also called what? Constant number. And one thing more that we can say, that the degree of the polynomial, it is defined like DER of px. Degree is the most power, or the highest power, or we can say the greatest power. The greatest power is 3. So we can say degree is 3. It's not defined in here. We have put that one. So the degree is not 5. The degree is what? The degree is 3. If I say what the degree is used for, the degree mostly it defines that how many intersection of the px we have with the x-axis. Degree most defined for the numbers, for the what? For the numbers of intersection of the plotting graph with what? With x-axis. If I say the degree is 3, it means if we plot this graph, mostly we will have 3 intersection with the x-axis. If I say the degree is 2, what does it mean? It means if we plot the graph of this polynomial, mostly it will intersect the x-axis with how many points? With 2 points. Just x-axis? Yes, if the variable is x. If the variable is y, so it defines that how many intersection we have with y. I think you have got. Write it, please. Should I erase the board? Yes. Why not, sir? Okay. If I say 2x to the power 2 minus 3x to the power 1 divided by 2 plus 5, is this a polynomial? No, it's not a polynomial. Why? Because this one does not include natural numbers. If I ask that 3x to the power 5 plus 5x to the power minus 3 plus 5, is this one a polynomial? No. Why? Because it's an integer number. It's not a natural number. So we can say once again, it's not a polynomial. Now I think you have got that a polynomial is a special type, a special case of a function which its degree includes natural number. Am I right or not? Yes. Now one thing more, that what is a constant polynomial? Constant polynomial. Whenever you're talking about a constant polynomial is a type of polynomial which we have. First, I have to define a polynomial, an x to the power n plus an minus 1 x to the power n minus 1 plus an minus 2 x to the power n minus 2 up to a 0. Now, what is a constant polynomial? A constant polynomial is that polynomial which it satisfies the condition an should be equal to an minus 1, it should be equal to an minus 2, and they should be 0. But a0 should not be 0. This is called a constant polynomial. For constant polynomial, we can say the degree of a constant polynomial, is always 0. For example, we can say that we have a constant polynomial like what? Like 0x to the power 2, 0x to the power 2, or we can say, 4. Is this one a constant polynomial? Yes. Why? Because we can write this one px 4x to the power 0. X to the power 0 is 1. 1 times 4, it's once again 4. So we can say the degree of the x is what? 0. And we can say the other terms, we can write this one, px 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 up to 4. The other terms are equal, and they are what? They are 0. So we can define as constant polynomial. Constant polynomial is that polynomial, the coefficients of the other variables, or the variable of the x should be 0, and the constant term should not be 0. Constant term, this one, or constant coefficient should not be 0, and the remaining part, it should be 0. Am I right or not? Yes. Now come to the 0 polynomial. What is 0 polynomial? Should I erase the board? Yes, sir. Okay, thanks too much. Now come to the 0 polynomial. In 0 polynomial, all the terms, they are 0, and the degree is not defined. 0 polynomial. When is 0 polynomial? When we have zeros of polynomial. Zeros of polynomial is something else. Now 0 polynomial. What's 0 polynomial? If we have a polynomial of px an x to the power n plus an minus 1 x to the power n minus 1, an minus 2 x to the power n minus 2 up to a0. Now, what is 0 polynomial? 0 polynomial is that polynomial that an should be equal to an minus 1, it should be equal to an minus 2, up to a0, and all the terms should be 0. In this polynomial, degree of such polynomial, I mean the 0 polynomial, it is not defined. Why? We can say, for example, if we have a 0 polynomial, 0x to the power 5 plus 0x to the power 3 plus 0x plus 0. Now the degree is 5? No. The degree is 3? No. Or we can write px 0. It's a 0 polynomial. Why? Because we can say that in here, if I put x to the power 0, x to the power 0 is 1, 1 times 0 is 0. Or we can say px, this polynomial, I think you didn't get what I mean. Px is 0. Is this one a 0 polynomial or a constant polynomial? It's a 0 polynomial. Now, with this 0, can I write x to the power 0? Yes. X to the power 0 is 1. 1 times 0 is 0. Also, with this one, can I write x to the power 2? Yes. X to the power 2 is x square. X square with the 0, it's once again 0. Can I write this one 0 x to the power 100? Yes. X to the power 100, x to the power 100 times 0, it's once again 0. I mean that we can write whatever we want. If you can write whatever you want, so the degree of the polynomial is not defined. I think you have got this one. Write it, please. Finished? Okay, thanks, sir. Now come to the zeros of a polynomial. When I say that how many zeros does how many zeros that do we have in this polynomial? What does it mean? Zeros of a polynomial. Polynomial. Whenever you're talking about the zeros of a polynomial, it means that how many intersections after the plotting of the graph of a polynomial do we have in or with x-axis. How many, or I think the intersections of plotting the graph of a polynomial with x-axis if the variable is x. First, you have to know if we have ax plus b, this is first degree polynomial. Another name for first degree polynomial, it's called linear polynomial. What does it mean? It means the graph of this one is a line. It's a what? A straight line. If we have ax squared plus bx plus c, this is second degree. Second degree is also called quadratic polynomial. Or we can say the graph makes generally parabol. So it's called parabolic also. Also, if I say ax to the power 3 bx squared plus cx plus d, it is third degree. It's called trinomial polynomial. I mean that if we plot the graph of the first degree, generally it is a line, maybe like this one or maybe like this one, and it has how many intersections with the x-axis? One intersection. This one intersection, how many? I don't want to say that it is in number one. I have to say that it has one intersection, like x1. How many intersections do we have? One intersection with the x-axis. Do not count the y-axis, just x-axis. How many intersections do we have? One intersection. If we have one intersection, this is called the zero of the first degree or linear polynomial. Generally, not generally, always 100%. Linear polynomial has got how many intersections with the x-axis? One intersection. If we want to define the two degree generally it makes a what? It makes a parabol. So it's called x1, x2. So the quadratic polynomial usually it has two intersections. Sometimes it has one intersection, like this one. And sometimes it has no intersection, like this one. Do not count the y-axis, just x-axis. So how many zeros does this graph have? This graph I think has one intersection. How many intersections do we have in here? We have two. How many intersections in here? We have one. And how many intersections do we have in here? It has no intersection. These three graphs is called quadratic polynomial. And when we want to define this one, trinomial, usually it has like this one. So it's x1, this is called x2, and this is called x3. If a is greater than 0, so usually it plot the graph like this one. If we have a less than 0, I mean negative number, for example minus 2x to the power 3, so the graph starts from here, like this one. X, this is y. In here, this graph is used generally for a less than 0, and in here a greater than 0. I mean in here positive, and this one is negative. These are the graphs that we can define for the trinomial polynomial. I do not want to say that the trinomial polynomial generally it has 3 intersection with the x-axis. Maybe trinomial, I mean the power 3, it would have 1 intersection or maybe 2 intersection, doesn't mind. But it does not have more than 3 intersection with the x-axis. The quadratic or parabolic polynomial, it does not have more than 2 zeros or more than 2 intersection with the x-axis. In first power or linear polynomial or first degree, we do not have more than 1 zero or 1 intersection with the x-axis. Inshallah, if God is willing, we will find the intersection point in what? In equations. In equation, what is the job for the equations? Equation wants to find the intersection point of the graphs with the x-axis. For example, if I say that we have x squared minus 2x or minus 3x plus 2 equal to 0. Now solve this one. If you want to solve, so you will find 1 is 1 and x2 is 2. What does it mean? It means if we plot this graph, the graph will have 2 intersections with the x-axis, and those intersections are 1 is 1 and 1 is 2. It means if you plot the graph, maybe the graph would be like this one. First it will intersect with what? With number 1 with the x-axis and 2 with x-axis. I think you have got. If we have, for example, 2x plus 6 is equal to 0. Now you will find the answer x is equal to minus 3. What does it mean? It means if you plot this first degree, which is a linear polynomial, so it will intersect the x-axis in which point? In minus 3. I think you have got. Now this was the introducing of the polynomial. Inshallah, for the next lecture we will come on beautiful examples. By the way, Allah Hafiz.